Today we're going to review graphing linear inequalities. All right, and like I said, we're not learning anything new today. Okay, so everything is a review from last class. Everything is a review from last class. Okay, so now what we've talked about thus far with inequalities and with linear equations is that the first thing that I need to do is make sure that it is in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. That is first and foremost. If it is not in slope-intercept form, you must solve for y. You must put it into slope-intercept form. You cannot graph an equation or an inequality if it is not in slope-intercept form. So again, first step, make sure it is in y equals mx plus b form. If it is not, you must put it into y equals mx plus b form. From there, the first thing that I do is I graph my y-intercept, or your b, the number after the x. Your y-intercept is the point 0, and then whatever that number is, 0, b. So you're either going to go up on the y-axis, b, or you're going to go down on the y-axis, b, however much. From there, you look at your slope. Your slope is in front of the x, right? So the y-intercept is after the x, the slope is in front of the x, the number in front of the x. Slope is rise over run. So you will go up so many or down, depending on if the slope is positive or negative, and you will always go to the right. Always, 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 rise over run. Now, once you have your points plotted, you then look to choose the boundary line. And what I mean by that is whether it's a solid or a dashed line. And the way you tell, like you told me on the do now, is whether there is an equals to line underneath your inequality symbol. If there is a line underneath, you draw a solid line. If there is no line underneath, like these two, then it is a dashed line. And again, the reason we have to denote the difference is because if it is a solid line, every point that lies on the line is a solution. If it is a dashed line, every point that lies on the line is not a solution. All right, so again, what we did, we plotted our equation or our inequality, and then we decided whether we are connecting those points with a solid or a dashed line. And again, all of that depends on your inequality symbol. If there is a line, you draw a line. Let me say that again. If there is a line underneath, you draw a line. When that is done, then you decide whether to shade above or below the graph. You are shading above the graph if it is a greater than symbol. You are shading below the graph if it is a less than symbol. And again, why are you shading? Because all of those points within the shaded area are solutions. All right, so let's look at our first example. Our first example is not in slope-intercept form because the y is not by itself. So we must put it into slope-intercept form. So in other words, we are solving for y. So the first step to get y by itself is to get rid of this 2x. So right now, we're going to the grocery store and we got $2. Well, the only way to get rid of 2x is to subtract it. The only way to get rid of $2 is to spend it. So I subtract 2x on both sides, move it over to the other side, and I've got negative y still is greater than or equal to negative 2x because I subtracted it, minus 4. Now, it's still not in slope-intercept form because this is a negative y. Slope-intercept form is y equals, not negative y equals. So the last step is then to divide by a negative 1. Now, again, to review, anytime I multiply or divide by a negative, you must flip your inequality symbol. Let me say that again. With an inequality, anytime I multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip your inequality symbol. So you can see right here it was a greater than or equal to symbol. It flipped and became a less than or equal to symbol because I divided by a negative 1 to get y by itself. So I get the inequality y is less than or equal to 2x plus 4. So that is my inequality that I'm about to graph. Again, to graph it, I treat it just like an equal sign. We have graphed y equals 2x plus 4 for the last 2 months. So that is not new. Okay, so again, in my mind right now, I'm treating it just like an equal sign. And then I will look at the inequality symbol to make the 2 changes that we have discussed thus far.